most respected resource person of the day, Mr. P. Ramachandran. Mr. Devdas, who is the parent of us, the Sri Sharda Vidyalaya, who took the initiative to organize this program today. All my principal, Mrs. Manjusha, teachers, and my dear students. We thought that, I always believe that education is not filling the head with what you call it as the subjects alone, but the life skills and surely commitment to the society and commitment to the generation. You as children are the ambassadors of tomorrow, and you are the people who are going to live in this world. So, when you get time, I don't have much time today to talk about that, but at least when you get time, you have to go through what the world has to achieve in the sustainable development by 2030. Because as today morning when Mr. Ramachandran was sitting in front of me and talking to me, what he said was, who is the greatest terrorist? It is not all these what you see, the violence who creates bomb, who drops bomb, but it is the people like us, because we are actually polluting the water, we are polluting our environment, and we are making the greater losses than what they are doing. So, like this year, Sri Sharda Vidyalaya thought about having a campaign and making the people aware, where you become actually the warriors of water savers, and to know that how to use the water by saving, and also how you can save at your home. Small things which you can do is what can change the world and even your life. So it is through you that we have to reach to everyone. That is why we took out this initiative this year, thinking that this is the main thing which we have to, take and adopt in our life. So on 25th and 26th, we are coordinating with the Nehru Yuvajana Kendra of among the youth organizations of Ernakulam, and also for the All Kerala campaign, which we name it as Watathon, because it is what you say. Pani is very important. I think at least those who listen to music, you might have heard A.R. Rahman's famous. Is it? No one? You listen to A.R. Rahman's songs and compositions, no? At least go home today. Otherwise, if it is possible, I'll ask Raghasan to play it for you after this program, so that you hear that it's a wonderful music done by him for this campaign of what water is important, and it is sung wonderfully well also. It is spread by the children. So I think as a first step, you should get aware about what you can do on everyday basis and how you can. And when I was discussing with our parent, Mr. P. Devdas, he was telling me that such a resource person, we have it in our place itself. So why don't he come and talk to the children and make them aware? When I heard about his passion for this cause, which made me call him and ask him to talk to you today. And I think we are blessed to hear from you today. And welcome to this campus. He was telling that this campus, your children will miss only when you go out of this campus. Such a positive energy you have inside the campus. Thank you for the great thought you have put forward with the Sri Sharda Vidyalaya. And I also, on behalf of everyone here, welcome him, and also I want you to promise in your heart of heart that you will be the warriors of saving the water and spreading the idea that at home, first start at home, start the place where you are coming in from the school, and then it goes to everyone who is associated with you. Thanking you and wishing you have a great day. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Are they so quiet and well-behaved in class? Unbelievable. I've heard horror stories about you guys before I came here. I find you model citizens of India. Modi ji will be very, very happy with you guys. Thank you, Deepa ma'am, for inviting me to give a talk to these young adults. Lovely anchoring Sonaria, right? Beautifully rendered prayer song by Meenakshi. And thank you, Krishna, for that very nice introduction. Almost everything was right except for that incredible part, because I don't think my wife or my daughters will agree that there's anything incredible about me. Anyway, thank you. I wish they had been here to listen to all these things. Yeah. So, just to expand on what your principal said about terrorism, everybody knows what terrorism is, isn't it? What can a terrorist do at the most by bursting a bomb? One of the biggest acts of terrorism has been 9/11, right? How many people died in that? About 3,000 people? Now today I'm standing in front of you because our generation, and I include the principal and the senior principal in that, and all your teachers, have completely messed up the water situation in the world. So we are coming to you for help, saying that instead of actually passing on the baton and asking you to carry it forward, we are telling you we have messed it up. Please help us. So will you help us? Huh? And as your senior principal said, it has to begin with you. It has to begin at home. What's your name? Grace. And what's your name? Shreya. Now if Grace says, Shreya's not doing it, why should I do it? That's not the right attitude. Let Shreya not do it. You do it. Or vice versa. So you can start at home. We'll go through a small, I hope, interesting thing. I hope it won't be boring. I understand the speech is getting recorded, so I hope it doesn't become something which puts you to sleep at night, even when sleeping pills don't work during your moments of stress. And I would also like to make it an interactive session. I know there is an interactive session at the end of the whole thing. Now, why are we talking about water? I'd like to tell you a small story about a guy who was about your age. A boy who saw this advertisement saying, join the Navy and see the world. So he studied hard, practiced, passed the physicals and got into the Navy. He got onto the ship and after 3 months he was so bored, he went up to the captain and said that, you said join the Navy and see the world. All that I've seen in the last 3 months is just water. So the captain said, yeah, 75% of the earth is water. So if you want to see the other 25%, join the army. Now the point is, if there's so much of water, why are we worried about water so much? I think all of you know that of all the water available in the world, it's only 3% of the water resources which is potable. And of that 3%, it is only 1% which is actually accessible to man. The rest of the water is possibly in the glaciers in the Himalayas or the mountains. Some of them are very deep down, it's not accessible. So this is the reason why we are saying that water is so important. And water is important to us because can we drink any water? We have to treat it, right? We have to treat it. And how do you get water in your house? Through pipes. How does it get delivered to the pipes? Through your overhead tank? How does it get delivered to the tank? Through pumps? All this costs money, right? Have you heard of this concept called carbon footprint? You know what a carbon footprint is? What is a carbon footprint? Can anybody, just because you put on mask doesn't mean you can't speak, okay? But I know how difficult it is. You have these guys coming and asking questions. You don't want to answer these questions. So, plus you're afraid that you might say something stupid. That's okay. That's okay. What is a carbon footprint? Can I have it? A carbon footprint is the amount of carbon which you, because of your activities, carbon dioxide which you release to the air. So when you take a bus, what happens? The bus gives out carbon dioxide, right? So a portion of it is your responsibility. If you take a flight, called a water footprint. What is a water footprint? I'll take these two ladies also as an example. Supposing Grace, right? Grace says that I use 10 liters of water a day. And Shreya says I use 25 liters of water a day. Who's got a larger footprint, water footprint? On the face of it? Shreya. Okay. Now supposing I tell you that what Grace does is that 10 liters of water which she uses, she treats and then lets it out into the environment. Whereas Shreya, bad girl, you know what she does? Lets it out straight into the, without treatment. And what happens to that water? It goes into a pond which has got 1000 liters of water. Okay? And what does that 25 liters do? It contaminates that water. So what is her water footprint? 1025 liters. She has not only used 25 liters of water, she has also contaminated 1000 liters. So her water footprint is 1025. So the point I want to make over here is that it is not the amount of water which you use which is critical. Yes, it is critical. But even more critical is what you do with that water. So if you are living in a flat, what will you do? You will have to go ask your secretary uncle who's looking after the whole thing. How many of you are living in flats? All houses? Okay, lucky people. So, what happens to the waste in the house? You need to find out. Is it contaminating the water in the ground? So, you need to look at it holistically to figure out whether water is not only being consumed at optimum levels, if it is being treated and utilized. So, that is the concept of a water footprint. Okay? Water footprint is a measure of humanity's appropriation of fresh water consumed and or polluted. So that is very critical to understand. Now this, I wanted to say that, but by the time you told about this, this water being costlier than gasoline, I thought I had a good point. Very unfair of you. You saw my presentation? Terrible girl. So this is the problem, water is so expensive now. You can get distillery water for 10 rupees, 15 rupees. You can get this so-called mineralized water for 50 rupees a bottle, 100 rupees a bottle, just 1 liter. And what are the cost of petrol now? 90 rupees, right? Now you know why the monk sold the Ferrari, no? Have you read the book, The Monk Who Sold the Ferrari? No? So the joke is he sold the Ferrari because the cost of petrol price was so high. It's a joke, you can laugh. Occasionally you can laugh, even though principle is here and all that, you can laugh. Okay? Now what are the reasons for water stress? We are under water stress, okay? And it's ridiculous that in Kerala that we got water stress. Rajasthan gets a fraction of the rainfall that we get. You know how much rainfall we get? Supposing you build a compound wall 3 meters high, and you collect the entire rainfall which falls in a year, that compound would be filled. Basically, I am saying that you get 3 meters of rainfall every year. The problem in Kerala is that we do not utilize it well. We do not, use it efficiently. We do not treat it efficiently, and that's the reason why we've got a problem. That's why we're talking about rainwater harvesting. You understand? You know how many rivers are there in Kerala? 44 rivers, right? 45 rivers are there. The canals in Cochin, have you seen them? Alva and all that? It's beautiful. But unfortunately, you cannot stand by that side because of the smell in there. Why is that? It's because all of us let out our. How many of you are living on the banks of a river or a pond or something? Any of you? Yeah. So, ma'am, you need to check out what is happening to the waste coming out of the toilets and the kitchen. Is it going through a proper STP or a sewage treatment plant or a septic tank? Is it getting treated? Because otherwise, that water is going into the lake, into the river, and that is why it is so bad. Otherwise, it could have been navigable. Industries are a major problem. This photograph, what does it make you think? Where do you think this place is? It's not Switzerland. It's not Gulmarg. It's Bangalore. Okay? This is Alsur Lake, so badly polluted that you get this sort of froth coming out of it. Looks very nice, but it's very poisonous. And that's because of the contamination. This is what I said, if you use water, treat it and put it out. If you don't treat it, this is what happens. One of the reasons why we have lakes filled with vegetation is because of the nutrient levels in the water. And nutrient is coming from where? It's coming from our waste. So if you can reduce that, you can reduce the nutrients in the water and the greenery you see will not be there. The other reason for water scarcity is because of transmission losses. Even in America, the transmission losses, that is from wherever they are pumping the water to your house, the transmission loss is almost 40%. And this includes pilferage also. When you're driving down in a car or a bus, haven't you seen these large pipelines where water keeps on leaking through these pipes? Does anybody do anything about it? No. Can you go and do something there? You can't. But can you do it in your house? Next time when the water drips, can you please close the tap? If your dad opens this thing to shave or your whoever and leaves it not fully closed, go and close it. And don't criticize anybody. Don't say, what are you doing? Just go and do it. That's your duty. I don't want you to preach. I don't want you to get evangelistic about it. Just keep doing what you feel is right and keep doing it. So people will follow you because of the example you set. Now, this floor also resembles the floor in front of your school, right? My suggestion would be, I know this is a much better thing than putting full concrete because there is a certain amount of water which goes down. The problem in Kerala is that we have built over so much. Most of our houses you find that we've got concrete floors, large areas which have been covered in paving tiles. So what happens is when the rainwater falls, it just runs off. As it is, we've got a very narrow state. So whatever rain falls, runs off into the lakes, not even lakes because the lakes are getting covered up, and goes into the sea. So what should you do? You've got good water coming from the top, right? So then, make sure that the house around you, the plot of land around your house, absorbs all the water. I am not saying don't pave. You can go ahead and pave, but do the paving in such a way that you've got a bit of grass in between, a little bit of gap in between, so that the water percolates into the ground. That's very critical. So some of you may become architects, some of you may become engineers, some of you may become builders. So when you do all that, make sure that this is in your mind. Okay? The one bearded gentleman came and said all these things. Orkanam, very important. Because just to carry forward that earlier analogy of a terrorist, when I destroy, I meaning my generation, destroys the sources of water, I am not killing 3,000 people. I am actually condemning a generation of children to a waterless world. So I want you to grab this opportunity and I want you to become water warriors. Save water wherever it's possible. Over extraction. You know what over extraction is? When you take up water more than what is required. Which is why in Tamil Nadu, today if you don't have water in your well, you can go dig a borewell. In Tamil Nadu, you are not allowed to do a borewell. It is all governed by the state government. And they make sure that this doesn't happen. So, please don't think that the water below your ground in your compound for which you paid a fortune is your water. It is your water for you to use, but also not to contaminate, not to over-extract, not to make sure that it is not there for your future generations. Okay? You should have about 135 liters of water per day. Okay? 135 liters of water per day for your bathing, your washing your clothes and all that sort of stuff. There are places in Kerala which doesn't even get 10 liters of water. Can you imagine? We are blessed actually because we've got this sort of water. There are places in Nigeria and Africa and Kenya and even India where you don't get any amount of, even for drinking you don't get that water. There are so many horrific photographs of children drinking from the same fetid pool which animals are drinking from. Today that does not happen. That does not happen. I was telling a man that when you give a glass, don't pour the water. You pour for the guest or for yourself only the water which you want to drink. Now, if I don't, I have drunk from that glass, correct? Now, after I leave, is anybody going to drink that water? Waste. No? So, remind me to drink that glass, okay? So, it's essential that you drink only what you want, you use only what you want. And by 2050, the Indian population is expected to rise to 1600 million. Now it is what, 1400? It will mean that almost 840 million people in India will be in water-starved areas. And we are living in an area of water richness and we still talk about water shortage. Correct? These are some statistics. I've given it over here so you can do that. You have diseases. Okay, you have COVID. It's a glamorous disease. Glamorous, I use the word in a very limited sense because everybody talks about COVID, right? Everybody talks about cancer. That's also a glamorous disease. Glamorous in the sense it is there in your mind, it has got the imagination. Everybody from film stars to sports stars have become ambassadors for these sort of diseases. But you know which is the disease which is creating the most amount of problem for people? Diarrhea. Most number of man hours and women hours are lost because of diarrhea and dysentery. And why is that caused? Because of bad water. So the water which you give, you not only have to treat after you use, you have to give treated water. So water is very important. Very, very important. And it is, unfortunately, because we take it for granted, we tend to waste it and misuse it. So now these are the problems, okay? So what are the solutions for it? What are the solutions that we can do? So I'm going to look at a few macro solutions. What is rainwater harvesting? What is rainwater harvesting? Can somebody explain what rainwater harvesting is? Sorry? Storing rainwater, that is one. You can, I don't know who's speaking. Oh, it sounded like it's coming. You're a ventriloquist or something? What's your name? Jay Shankar. You're very right. You can store water from the rooftops. But the problem is, your rooftop, if it is next to a wooded place like this, what will happen on top of the roof? You'll get roof pudding down. You will have droppings from birds, and you'll have leaves also. So the first 1 or 2 rains, you should allow the water to be taken away. And then you can store the water, as Jaishankar said, in huge tanks. What are the next best thing? In fact, the better thing to do. Supposing all these buildings were not here, what would have happened to that water? Sorry? It would have fallen into the ground and gone into the soil. Now what are you doing? You have built this huge, beautiful campus over here, so the water will go down. So at least the areas where you don't have buildings, make sure that the water goes down. Ground recharging is very, very critical. It is only then that you can extract water for your needs. If you are not allowing the rainwater to be stored in the ground or stored elsewhere, you have no right to use this water. Water is not yours. Water is God given. Correct? Only thing is, it is not being monitored or administered by the government. Now, if like petrol, that is also administered, then you will not be in trouble. The second thing is dual flush systems. Water closets can be used also as a urinal, right? And when you use it as a urinal, you don't have to use the same amount of water to flush it. So you can use 2, 3 and 6 liters. 3 liters if you're using it as a urinal, 6 liters otherwise. Maybe Devdas, we can show them a demonstration as to what a flow restrictor is. You know, a rain shower. You know what a rain shower is? These are these sophisticated showers which you have in bathrooms. You know the amount of water which can come out of a rain shower? Some of the projects we do, some of these really rich people who don't care about all these things. We have fitted rain showers which can give you 80 liters of water per minute. So if you stand under the shower for 10 minutes, how much of water are you using? 800 liters of water. And what does the National Building Code tell you a person should use? 135 liters. Isn't that a crime? Using bathtubs. And that's my line of business, but I'm telling you, that's a crime. Because the moment you pull the plug in a bathtub, you know how much of water gets lost? 250 liters of water. So that's a crime. So like cigarette packets, I keep telling my fraternity that cigarette smoking is, how many of you smoke? All the guys who didn't look in my eyes, I know. Anyway, don't do that. But I'm saying, cigarette smoking, there is something called cigarette smoking is injurious to health, isn't it? I feel that, these rain showers also should have a sticker which saying that you're killing a generation. Bathtub should have that, shouldn't it? Why should you not? Because in cigarette smoking, if you're smoking in a small area, you're only killing yourself. Whereas if you waste water, what are you doing? So, it's critical that we use things called flow restrictors which can restrict flow. Now, there are people who say, yes, Ram, we want to restrict the flow. So then we have a product, it's a patented product, which we fit in. Now, a normal shower gives you 9.6 to 10 liters of water per minute. Okay, if you put this additional, this fitting, very inexpensive. You know how much is the water which comes out? 5.6 liters of water. So supposing you take a bath with the old one, you waste 100 liters. Or rather use 100 liters. And the second one is just 55, 56. It's 50% decrease. So when you decrease the amount of water which you use, what are the savings that you get? Can some of you tell me? Who are doing science over here? Sorry? Suddenly everybody has become commerce. Or literature. Yeah. Somebody stand up and tell me. What do you gain when you save water? Somebody's having a bath and 100 liters of water in a pagaram. He is using only 15 liters of water. So what all do you save? Come on, guys. You're going to have a competition now. Either the girls will answer or the boys will answer. Before I count 5. Nobody? Doesn't matter. You can be stupid, it doesn't matter. I've made even more stupid comments. Okay. One is, of course, of water. Well, you save 50 liters of water. You pump lesser. Well, if daily you have to pump 1000 liters of water, if you need to pump 50%, the pump is also pumping only to that extent. Correct? So 500 liters, almost 50% the electricity cost is reduced. The water which comes out has to be treated. If it's a large community, you have a sewage treatment plant. The sewage treatment plant capacity can come down by 50%. Correct? Your heating cost can come down by 50%. So it is not, when you save water, you save a lot of other things along with it. How many of you had thought of this but didn't have the courage to put up their hands? In school, I used to hate these guys who will come and ask questions. So then I realized that I should do the same thing, just to get my revenge back. Pedically, it doesn't matter. Okay. So, these are flow restrictors, which we will show to your management and maybe you can fit it in the schools. Self-closing taps. You know who were the first people to introduce self-closing taps? You know what the meaning of self-closing is? If you do not consciously operate it, the water will not flow. Where have you seen the first example of a self-closing tap? Sorry? In a train. In a train, when you have to lift up that train, when you go, all the taps, you have to lift that small thing, only then the water falls, no? Train quickly. So some of you have seen that? Yes. Yeah. So it's like that. You know, a self-closing tap is that. Otherwise, what do you do? Supposing you're brushing your teeth, what happens? You open the tap, by then some call comes, or then you apply this. All the while the water is getting wasted. So a self-closing tap will make sure that you operate the tap only when you actually require it. These are pressure washing machines. All those cars, you will find that people are using hoses to clean the car. You don't need that much of water to clean the car. Not just the car, any surface for that matter. Even college, ma'am, if you want to wash the ground, instead of pouring a whole ton of water over there, if you have these pressure washing machines, you can clean it far better. The consumption of electricity is also much lesser. So there are products available. Modern methods of irrigation. What is a modern method of irrigation? Have you heard of a new method? What is it called? Oh, finally. I was almost giving up hope. So drip irrigation. Can you tell me who are experts in drip irrigation? No. Farmers are the users. I agree, but they are the end users. Internationally, who is known as experts in drip irrigation? Sorry? Well, it's not India, it's Israel. But do you know who were the first people who actually invented the drip irrigation? In Meghalaya. They split bamboo. So then it becomes a half a cylinder, right? Either a whole cylinder, they were irrigating their entire place with. So all this knowledge which we know now, environment, reuse, recycle, these are all foreign concepts which they're trying to push it down with. We knew this even before. Indians knew all this before. It's just that we have lost touch with reality and lost touch with the roots. And then we go there and pay through our nose and get consultants to tell us how to do rainwater harvesting. The rainwater harvesting techniques in Rajasthan, some of the best in the world. But we don't use it. Publicly, we'll call a consultant from America or something and he'll come and tell you what it is. Why? You will understand all these things because your children being taught in Sharada Vidyalaya, where they talk to you about the Panchamahabhutams and all that, fire, air, and water, and all that. So that is the most important thing. We have lost touch with all that, and that's the reason why we have to now pay money through our nose to get foreign consultants to teach us what our forefathers knew before. There is something which I read on the internet. I have not been able to get it before. Kindi. You know the construction of the kindi, no? It's called a spout. I believe the old rationale, none of the things which are done in the old days are stupid. It's just that we don't realize what it is. Now people tell you, don't cut your nails after 6 o'clock. Your grandmothers tell you, your mothers tell you. So my mother was a doctor. She's no more now. She would have been 95 if she had been alive. She used to tell me that people did not want you to cut your nails after 6 o'clock in those days because you may cut yourself. This nail can be a hard cartilage which gets into food, it's not digestible. So there is a reason behind all these things. Don't blindly follow what is being told to you. There is a rationale behind all these things, and that is important for you to understand. Ask why. Don't say no, ask why. And if somebody is not able to give you an answer and he loses his cool, you won the battle because either he or she doesn't know what they're talking about. Don't be arrogant, don't, be insulting to that person. But understand that, there is a reason for all these things. Are you guys getting bored? You've been told to say this, huh? The other thing is, when you do large gated communities, apartment blocks, etc., the amount of water which comes out is enormous. So what can you do after treating it? The treated water can be reused for flushing. It can be used for air conditioning, it can be used for gardening, if you treat it properly. If you don't treat the water properly, please understand that there is a consequence. Every action has got a reaction, everything has got a consequence. So if you want to use treated water, effluent, there is a problem that if you don't maintain the sewage treatment plant properly, the water is likely to be contaminated. So, when you put it on sprinklers, if you have got a sprinkler for the grass, if the water is not treated well, there are particulates which are harmful to you, and that has an aerosol effect. All of you wear perfumes, a perfume is an aerosol. Apply perfume, you will come up till there. So that effect is there if you don't treat that water. And so, if you are trying to do good somewhere, but you are actually creating a problem elsewhere. So you need to be careful about these things. Just because you put a sewage treatment plant, it doesn't mean it will work. So you have to be very careful about it. The other thing is, suppose you don't have a air conditioner. You can't, you can use it for flushing. The flushing requirement in a family is only 20% of your total requirement. So if a household uses, let us say, 800 liters of water, you only require 160 liters for the flushing, unless if it's a commercial complex where toilets are more than showers and all that. So, balance water, what do you do? If you can't use it for air conditioning, and if you don't have too much of landscape area, the other thing is possibly you let it out into a nearby drain after properly treatment, that is okay. And the second thing is you can, if the cost permits, do a deep well injection. I say deep well injection in Kerala because the groundwater level is very high. So you need to go down so that the water percolates. And the water you are drinking is this treated water. Somewhere in Europe, somebody must have had a bath. That water has come out, evaporated, and that's the water you're drinking. There is a fixed amount of water for you guys. So don't have this aversion to STP water. In Singapore, that water is straight away used. It's called new water. People drink it. So don't have a stigma for that. I'm just trying to open your minds to the idea that water should be treated. If somebody tells you STP Vellana, STP is sewage treatment plant. Okay. What is the question you will ask? Is it being maintained properly? There are tests. You have to find out whether there is E. coli or whether there is bacteria. This is bioremediation. This is what they are doing for. The government is now trying to do for the various canals and all that. That is, they are purifying the water. They are making waterways about it. So people can navigate. People can have walking tracks over there. Jogging tracks and all that. But this is the last thing which none of you can do at this point of time as an individual. But you can ensure that the water from your household does not slip into the, water body. Please ensure that. This is a little technical. This is the most important thing. I always say, I was telling a senior principal today that there are two things which you can do to save water. Okay. What I have told you now in the language of computers is hardware. Solid technological interventions to make sure that water is safe. What is more important? Sorry? I can't read lips. Software എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഞാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് not in the limited sense of the word software. Software is this. If you can control yourself, close the tap, use only the sort of water which you require. Do you know the best bath which you can ever have in your life? Best bath, what I mean is not in terms of comfort but in terms of hygiene. Can somebody hazard a guess? The best bath a person can have is if you are in a hospital and a nurse is giving you a sponge bath. She or he, depending on who the patient is, comes with a basin of water. Otherwise, once they are through with the patient is far more clean than if you are really standing under a shower of 80 liters per minute. Seriously. So you keep on putting this shower on. Shower it. How many of you, after you wet yourself, you need to apply soap, lather? How many of you shut off the shower? അതങ്ങനെ ഓൺ ചെയ്തിട്ട് മാറി നിന്നിട്ട് പിന്നെ ആ വെള്ളം പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക അല്ലേ? So if you can do all these things, even with an 80 liter per minute, you can just stand and then shut it off and then come back. So these are attitudinal changes. Today, if all of us were law-abiding citizens, maintaining the car well, the scooter well, the bus well, taking care of all the road regulations properly, do you need policemen on the road? You don't need policemen on the road. The earlier things which I told you was all policemen. Road restrictors and the penal interest if you're wasting too much of water. So this software thing, if this is where I want all of you to understand that this is where you can be a change maker. You can be a change maker. There's a water meter. And then tell your dad that let us make sure that we use only 10% water less. Set a goal. This is what all your teachers tell you. Set a goal. And work towards that. And then you can come back and tell, maybe this can be a project. I don't know. But where it has to be honest with you. Obviously, madam is not going to come or your teacher is not going to come home and check how much of water you use. You know, when you wash vegetables, and I look at boys and girls when I say this, it's not just their job, it's your job also. So when you have, how many of you have seen the Great Indian Kitchen? It's none of the boys. You guys have to see it. Eh? You guys have to see the Great Indian Kitchen and figure out what needs to be done at home. That's not the way to do it. So I want you to do that. Sometimes I lose track. I lose track of the washing vegetables. When you wash vegetables, what do you do with the water? Store it so that you can use it somewhere. Small things. If all of you do that, your community will survive. You are the best example that you can. You know? Be the change you want to be. Very important. You must be wondering, water philosophy. But life is all about this. It's a composite of all these things, and your mind is what makes a lot of difference. I have sent a set of cartoons. Maybe, ma'am, you can have a competition for them. You know, March 11th is World Plumbing Day. You can choose March. I think 22nd is World Water Day. Have a competition among yourself on drawings. You know, whoever gives the best representative drawing of what actually is the state of water here. If you can, I can send you some details. There is a World Plumbing Day. I think when I was there, we used to have competitions for various schools and colleges and all that. Where children were asked to create paintings. These paintings were then assessed, and the best painting was decided on a national level. I'm not saying you should go with the Indian Plumbing Association. Maybe your school can start something like that. The principal was saying that you're looking at initiatives. Maybe your school can start something like that and have a painting competition where children come out with innovative ideas on cartoons or paintings and all these things. So that's the idea of this water warriors. I want each one of you to be a water warrior. In your own way. Just in your mind, tell yourself, have I wasted water or not wasted water? Next time your school has a function, make sure that water is served not in plastic PET bottles. Matkas. You know? Namada Padaya Manjati, that is the best. The temperature of water which comes out of that is the right temperature for your throat. Not the ice cold water or the other water. And secondly, that takes the minerals also. The distillery water which you drink does not have any mineral water. Does not have any minerals. Does not help you. One of the basic problems Kerala has got, or possibly the entire world has got, is that the water we drink is acidic. The pH is below 7. pH should be 7 to 8. Alkaline water. Alkalinity is what gives your body a certain amount of resistance, immunity. After that, actually retracts in your body. So you can measure the pH, you can buy a small pH meter and then figure out what needs to be done. In the same, supposing you have water in your house which is not very good, what will you do? Somebody said you pour a little bit of vodka in it. No, not vodka. Cucumber slices, pudina, tulsi ela. These are things which you can do in your own house to improve your health. It's not the native health, if you go to 5-star hotels and 4-star hotels, you will find these guys coming out of jugs of water with slices of lime and pudina and all that. Looks very nice, but it also adds a certain amount of minerals and vitamins into that water. So the water is not dirty. Water is the elixir of life. Why do you drink water which is not nothing? It doesn't do anything to you. So do that in your houses. So we who drinks it now? Shankar, you are a brilliant boy. ഞാൻ വരും വീട്ടിലേക്ക് എവിടെ സ്ഥലം എവിടെ വരാൻ പറഞ്ഞ Dracula. And what is he saying? He's saying about blood, but every drop counts.
So what should I do if the public, like my neighbors or the local church, golf courses, etc., are violating the water conservation principles?
Don't preach to them. Talk to them and tell them that this is something which we can do to ensure that water is there for everybody. Can you give me an example? What exactly are you saying?
Like if it is an institution, so whom can we consult and like talk about our ideas?
In a church, you have to go to the priest over there, I suppose. And if you need any help to explain these things, now for example, a church in the Buddha, you will have possibly a hall for weddings. Correct?
Yes.
And that hall for weddings will have a place where people eat and then go and wash their hands. So when they wash their hands, you have a long line of taps. You can possibly go up to the priest or talk to your father and say that, Acha, there is a possibility of saving water over here by doing this. Can the church not take up this church, temple, mosque, whatever? Take up this as a cause, a good cause. So that through the church, through the temple, through the mosque, if this sort of idea is propagated, it becomes even more, easy for people to accept. ഇപ്പൊ മോള് പറഞ്ഞു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇപ്പൊ ആരും ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരില്ല. പക്ഷെ പള്ളിയിൽ അച്ഛൻ പറഞ്ഞെങ്കിൽ അത് ചെയ്യുന്നത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ then you know there is a certain way for that. So I think it's a good thought. How to approach it, you have to look at it individual cases. If it is a pastor or a priest who you are friendly with, then you tell him, ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു uncle വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു to our school to give a talk and he said all these things. He thinks that we can save water, we can use the rainwater. Call me, or if I am not available, we will send somebody else to talk to them and then figure out how things can be done. So we are willing to do that. So look upon us as partners. One of your friend's father is also here, so you can always tell her and then get the information passed on to me. Is that what you want to answer?
Yes.
Lots of times people ask questions and the answer they get is not what they want.
Thank you, sir.
Residential wells are individual properties. Yes, sir. Residential wells are individual properties. So people have misconception that they can use water as much as they want. So is it necessary that the government should impose some restrictions on the usage of groundwater?
They should, but they're not doing it.
Yes.
But it will slowly come into the. It's not just that. When we do apartments, they are not getting water from the municipality. What are they doing? They're getting water from the borewell. But Anisha താമസിക്കുന്ന വീട്ടില് you are using, let us say, 500 liters of water. In my house, I am using 2,500 liters of water. So average is what? 1,500. So if the bill is going to be divided equally between everybody, you pay 3 times, at least 2 times more than what you should pay because you are averaging it out. In the projects, all the water which comes into individual apartments is metered. So Anisha 500 liter uses the association is spending 10,000 rupees. You will be charged only 5,000 divided by 2,000. That is about 25% of 10,000. Whereas earlier you would have had to pay 50%. So a similar sort of electricity, there are penal rates, no? Electricity the slab so that is why people try to reduce it. Water also should have that, but the problem with water is it's a very emotive issue. So it becomes a political issue. Whereas penal rates should be applied. You're actually destroying the resources. Important. So your point is very valid, but unfortunately it is not being taken up. Don't depend on the government for all this. Other associations and try and reduce the water consumption in your house. Reuse the water. Take the rainwater and reuse it. That is when things become really, really interesting. Useful for society.
Sir, good morning, sir. I'm Gopika from Castor. Sir, nowadays, a lot of big recreation users like golf courses and theme parks, they're wasting a lot of water. So, what could be a possible solution for that too?
You see, there was a problem many years back when, because of water problems, cricket matches in Bombay were, banned because they were using good water to water the lawns. One of the biggest water monsters as far as plants are concerned is grass. They need a huge amount of water. So I will deviate slightly and then come back to your point. So even when you build a house or as an architect you do something, try and plant things over there which after the first 1 or 2 years, it will sustain by itself based on whatever water it gets. That's right. Don't import plants from areas where it requires a huge amount of water. That is one. The second thing is, there is a huge amount of water which I told you is available from gated communities. If you flat 100 flats in the the amount of water which we are treating per day is 1 lakh. 1 lakh liters. How much can they use over there? Maybe 25,000-30,000 liters of water. The balance 60,000-70,000 liters of water, they just let it out into the canals or to the external stormwater drain. This water can be collected by the golf courses. You understand? This water can be collected by the golf courses and used over there. Industries requiring heavy water. Now, for example, we designed for a granite industry a water treatment plant. Per day, they require 3 lakh liters of water. Just imagine in Hyderabad, if you need 3 lakh liters of water, how much of water you require in a month? 90 lakhs. Into a year, 6.5 crore liters of water you require. So they cannot survive with municipal water or even underground water. So what have they done? It is filtered, treated, reused. So every day, evaporation losses are there, that you can't do anything about it. But the amount of water you need for makeup is only 20,000 liters of water. So where is 3 lakhs liters and where is 20,000 liters of water? So similarly, the golf courses also should find ways of utilizing water which is available in the city. Tie up with a large gated community where they'll say, okay, you treat the water and give it us, we'll buy it from you. There are enough tankers then it doesn't usually go into the ground and recharge the ground again. So they are water wasters, but then the fact is these are things which are there in society. So we have to find solutions for that. The solution is utilize water which has already been utilized, but it's going waste. Okay. Have I? Will continue to ask it to the point where the speaker says, sorry, don't let anybody who comes to talk to you get away with all wrong answers. Or he or she should say, sorry, I don't have the answer to that. And there's nothing wrong in that. That's the other thing I want to tell you. If you don't know the answer, you're not going to get into interviews now. If you don't know the answer to a question, say, I'm sorry, I don't have the answer. As an interviewer, a person sitting across the table, he or she will appreciate you for your honesty rather than if you die, it's better that you accept it. And that goes for me also. So if I don't know the answer, I'll tell you I don't know the answer. Okay?
So my question is, so what are the ways by which we can increase groundwater level?
The only way you can increase groundwater level is to ensure that the area around your building is capable of accepting the rainwater. Rendamathu, make sure that the rainwater which comes from the roof is utilized and whatever balance is there is again recharged into the ground. There is no other way in which you can improve the underground water capacity. You can't. There is no single answer for it. You have to reduce your consumption. You have to make sure that the rainwater which falls on your ground is utilized within the ground itself. Utilized within the ground itself, and make sure that whatever water you use is treated, reused, and allowed to go in the ground.
Namaste, sir. My name is Keshinga Sari. May well aware of the various techniques and methods of water conservation, but as a citizen of Kerala, we are not able to implement this in our lifestyle. So, sir, what do you think is the role of government to make people aware of different techniques of water conservation and to implement it in our state?
The government, in my opinion, has got a huge role to play in all these things. One is, as one of my friends said, make sure that if you use more water than that you require, you are penalized for it. Okay, you're charged much more than what is, you charge penal rates of interest. The second thing is make things like rainwater harvesting and reuse of water mandatory. It has to be mandatory. That is all coming into, it is already there now in certain areas, but it is getting enforced much more rigorously now. If you are doing a very large project, unless you prove to them that you got the water, you are treating the water, you are reusing the water, and you are making sure that the rainwater is harvested, you will not get the approval. So government is doing that, but my point is, don't depend on the government. Don't depend on the government. Why don't we do it ourselves? അടിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ പഠിക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താണ് a problem? You know, I would say rather that government comes into our life lesser and we take care and control our destinies on our own.
As a Kerala citizens, Kerala has faced the biggest flood, one of the biggest floods in our country. Still, we are having water shortage problems during summer, and people are still wanting to do these types of conservation techniques, but they are not aware about it. That is, they may not be knowing that where to avail these services like drip irrigation and rainwater harvesting. So they are not well aware that is it affordable or not. So I think that the government has to do something about this, so that the people are able to assess these types of techniques and all.
Again, I'm coming back to this over-dependence on the government. Government will do what they have to do. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, when I do a project, let's say a hospital, let's say 500-bed hospital, I am not depending on the government for that. I am not depending on the government for that. Unless I do the design as per the Ministry of Environment and Forest, it's called MOEF. Unless you do the projects based on that, you will not get an environmental clearance if your project is of a certain size. The problem is projects which don't come under the purview of MOEF. Already I know what you said, has a problem. There I am of the opinion that it has to happen in two ways. One is, as you rightly said, the government has to insist and create problems for people if they don't follow these regulations. Okay? Create a set of resource people whom they can accredit and say that these are people whom you can get in touch with if you want to do a sewage treatment plant or rainwater harvesting, or if you want to reduce water consumption. These are the people whom you can get in touch with. That the government can say, but more than the government, it is available on internet. What is not available on internet? Anything you want is available. Anything is how you want to do it, how it is to be done, who are the agencies which are doing, all that is available. So I am not particularly of the view that everything the government should do. I am saying that as private citizens, let us do our bit. The government is doing its bit, but they have got their own problems. And to expect that the government will do everything for us, please don't expect that. Don't expect that. This is something which you have to understand. If you don't learn it yourself, then appoint consultants so that the people who are aware of these things and get these things done. In your own course, you can do rainwater harvesting. Very simple. Hello. Simple filters. You know, one of the simplest filters is what? Sand, gravel, charcoal. So those are things which can be done at home, and this over dependence on government, I think, keep it aside for some time. They will do, they are trying to do, but they have got their own problems. So I think these are things which we can solve ourselves. The government,
Thank you, sir.
What causes possibility of water problems in rural areas? What causes possibility of water problems in rural areas?
One is the problem in rural areas is that it is not connected. The households are not connected by a municipal corporation water supply. So the people living there will have to go daily to a place where they get water and come back. So that is one problem. You know, they are not able to get water on tap like all of us are able to get. So that is really one of the biggest problems of rural India. Women are at risk basically because they have to travel in the morning, collect the water, come back, do the cooking. It's the women who do all that. That's what I keep saying that, the Indian kitchen is something which all the boys need to watch. So your safety is in danger. You hear all these horrific cases, so it's a social problem actually. And that is where Jaishankar's point is valid, that is where the government should come in. Government should ensure that if not your house, at least a locality should have a tap from which you can get water. And they should ensure by there is a problem with water. Ridiculous, surrounded, big water, and they don't have water to drink. And what do? They get tanker lorries of water to the city. So that is where the government has to come in. Toilets, big problem. Even if you're blessed that you've got toilets, I've been to Rajasthan and all these places where the girl children don't attend classes because they don't have proper toilet facilities. So it's essential that the government steps in those cases. Unless you go there, this guy, you've got a determination, you adopt a village and do something over there. Otherwise, this is where the government has to step in. You have to give them proper water, ensure that the proper designed toilets are given so that even if it is community living, they have places where they can use. And it is not just in rural India. My daughter was did the course in Teach for India. Teach for India, teachers will know. It's a thing where they have a very wonderful way of teaching. And they also have to go and stay with the children. So she has gone and stayed in slums where, in Bombay, and Bombay is a metropolitan city, where there is no toilet. They have to go to community toilet some place far away, somewhere in Dharavi. So this is the problem. There is no doubt about it, and this is where the government should step in and do something very, very drastic. Otherwise, India is not going to. India is not a superpower now. India is a superpower because we got more bombs, we got more cars, we got more mobile phones. That's not where superpower comes from, in my opinion. Superpower comes from the situation where every Indian citizen has got access to clean water and good governance. So the point is valid, but it's not just in rural India. It is there in India. There are pockets which are a problem.
Your opinion on a cost-efficient method and effective method to answer that?
One is in your hands. But the software is in your hands. Open the shower only when you are actually having money to take soap or Bollywood get soap. Open the tap only when you actually want the water to come. That's the only way you can do. So that is the software part of it. The second is to get a professional agency to do water audit. So measure. Measurement is most important. So even water, you have to measure the amount of water which you are using. And once you measure the water, you will realize that you are either using adequate water or you are over-utilizing the water resources. When you are over-utilizing, then you have to put what is called flow restrictors, you have to use dual flush systems, you can use automatic taps. If you go to airports and some of these public restaurants, you will see automatic taps. You have a sensor. And you can put filters in your tap so that the water comes out like a spray. So these are the things which can be done very simply without any government intervention. Somebody was talking about how do you explain, you were saying, church, then you can talk to the people who say, and I was telling a principle that we have not got crackers since almost 15 years ago. We used to. We were brought up in Chennai, so Deepavali was a big thing. But somebody told my daughters that crackers are made in Shivakashi. And Shivakashi uses child labor. They are not paid properly. They are working in very bad condition. So if you promote fireworks, you are actually promoting child labor. So even if we want to burst, so that's what I'm saying. Who made us do that? Our children made us do that. So you have an enormous power. Children have an enormous power in your hands. You can influence your parents, you can influence people, your school, teachers. In Nilambur, I believe there are 1,500 students over here. Hello. So when you stand next to somebody who is washing hands, can you not tell that person, shut off the tap, you are in 12th class, you are now senior. So you can tell. I normally do that. When I go to, let's say, a wedding reception or something, and somebody is opening the tap, I tell them, please shut it off. But I also make sure, please, bigger than me. So, no, but jokes apart, it is necessary that we tell people. But tell it nicely. Don't be, don't be in your face. Say you that. The amount of water which you require for shaving or brushing your teeth, how much you require? You've taken up half a month. You tell him, yeah?
सोचो तो क्यों है आज सहम सहम पानी, ये चुपचाप पानी क्यों? चलो बदल दे ये कहानी कहानी, बचा ले निशानी हम। पूछेगी धरती तब कहाँ थे तुम, नदी रो रही थी तब कहाँ थे तुम। स्वच्छता और पानी हमको बचानी है ये जिंदगानी। सोचो तो क्यों है आज सहमा सहमा पानी, ये चुपचाप पानी क्यों? चलो बदल दे ये कहानी कहानी, बचा ले निशानी हम। पूछेगी धरती तब कहाँ थे तुम, नदी रो रही थी तब कहाँ थे तुम। स्वच्छता और पानी हमको बचानी है ये जिंदगानी। है कब से नाराज गुस्सा गुस्सा पानी, ये क्यों उदास पानी क्यों? चलो बदल दे ये कहानी कहानी, बचा ले निशानी हम। पूछेगी धरती तब कहाँ थे तुम, नदी रो रही थी तब कहाँ थे तुम। स्वच्छता और पानी हमको बचानी है ये जिंदगानी। Drip, drip, drop, drip, drop, drippity drop, drip, drop, drip, drip, drop, drip, drop, drippity drop। चलो बचा ले ये धरोहर पुरानी, ये तेरा मेरा पानी। Drip, drop, drippity drop। चलो बदल दे ये कहानी कहानी, बचा ले निशानी। Drip, drop, drippity drop। पूछेगी धरती तब कहाँ थे तुम, नदी रो रही थी तब कहाँ थे तुम।